director experience and expertise. I'm going to bring on Sean shortly, but in the meantime, let me introduce myself. My name is Sonia Kosla, and I'm on the Wild Apricot content team. Beside me is my colleague, Stephen, who is going to be able to help you on chat with any technical issues that you might have. So during the webinar, feel free to ask any questions to us or Sean. And to do that, you can use the chat box. Now, I want to make a couple of quick reminders before moving on. First, I want to let you know that we are recording this session and we'll be sending you an email with a link to the recording within the next couple of days. So watch out for that. I also want to let you know that we are a CAE approved provider. So by attending today's webinar, you are eligible to earn 1 CAE credit. Okay, so we'll get going in just another couple of minutes, but let me briefly say that today's webinar is being brought to you by Wild Apricot. I know that many of our customers are on here with us today, so a big welcome to all of you. But I also know that we have many people here who aren't familiar with Wild Apricot, and I want to welcome you all as well. For those of you who don't know, Wild Apricot is membership management software. It's actually an all-in-one solution for anyone running a membership organization, and that's because you can manage your member and contact database, run your events, build your website, process all your payments, and so on. Many of our customers consider it a lifesaver because it saves them hours a day in administrative tasks, freeing them up to focus on fulfilling their organization's mission. And we're quite thrilled with what many of our clients have been able to accomplish. We've watched them grow since we've started 12 years ago, and they've watched us grow too. And thanks to our customers, we've been ranked as the #1 rated membership management software solution on the market 7 times in a row. And while we pride ourselves on helping people with great software, we're also a leading provider of free educational content, which you'll find on our blog and in webinars like today's. Now, if any of you have any questions about Wild Apricot, we're happy to answer them at the end of the webinar. Okay, now let me bring on Sean. Sean Kosofsky is a nonprofit fixer. He has worked in nonprofits for over 27 years, including as an executive director for 5 political and charitable organizations. He has worked in policy, communications, grassroots advocacy, direct service, development, management, and served on numerous boards. He has raised millions of dollars for nonprofits, candidates, political campaigns, and other initiatives. His work has appeared in news outlets around the world, and he has offered webinars or blog posts through AFP, Foundation Center and Candid, TechSoup, Bloomerang, Idealware, Nonprofit Ready, and Pamela Grows Motivate Mondays. So without further ado, Sean, welcome. Sean, can you hear me?
There we
Hello,
go.
Sean. There.
Trying to unmute myself and it wouldn't work. Excellent. Now I think you can hear me. All right. Thank you for that great introduction, Sonia. And I think if everyone can hear me fine. I think you need to hand over controls to me.
Yep, you should get it right now. There you go.
Excellent. You good to go?
Yep.
Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. I am excited to be here. This is now my 2nd time presenting with Wild Apricot, and it's always a great experience. So thank you so much for having me back. Again, today's topic is 8 super easy tips to skyrocket your email list to grow your membership. I know how much membership means to people, especially those using a CRM and a great platform like Wild Apricot. So we're going to talk about that today, and it's I've got some unique, I think, angles to this that I think I want to bring to folks because of my own experience marketing and also with nonprofits. So we'll just dive right in. Let's see here. Now, A little bit about myself. I go by the nonprofit fixer. I've been in nonprofits, as Sonia said, for 27 years or so, worked in a variety of different social justice issues, everything from bullying prevention, civil rights issues, environmental issues, voting access, a lot of different stuff in multiple parts of the country, political campaigns, ballot measures, small nonprofits, large nonprofits, lots of board service. But I've also have to do a lot of list building in my life because most of the nonprofits I've been with have been small and scrappy and having to do a lot with very little and building a list sometimes from scratch. But also I've done a lot of list building work in my own consulting practice in the past year and a half, year and a half to 2 years. And so I've learned a lot about how to do that and how do I think it can apply to nonprofits. So let's dive in. So the first thing I want to be really clear on when we're talking about list building or growing your email list is to focus on the mission. There's a lot of reasons or ways in which you can acquire or grab or round up email addresses for your organization, but I want to just center us for a moment on what I think is sometimes overlooked in decision making in a nonprofit, and that is putting the mission at the center of your focus. So almost all decisions in an organization, from the board to the executive director to staff, should be focused on how is this going to help us reach our mission, right? So the list building and email list building we're going to talk about today, I have rooted this in that basic focus. So most organizations, in order to reach their mission, they need more capacity, they need more scale, and these things are achieved by larger lists and training and technology. So in order to get more volunteers to help you reach your mission, you're going to need probably a larger email list. In order to get more donors so that you can reach more capacity and more scale so you can achieve your mission, you're going to probably need an email list. The same for action takers. If you have people signing petitions or taking action on something, you're probably going to need a robust email list over time to take you even further closer to your mission. And also identifying future leaders, people who will be leaders, activists, board members. These are all folks that you can identify probably faster and more easily by having and cultivating a large email list. So, of course, organizations can choose to grow their lists different ways. They can have impact in different ways. Some organizations, lucky or not, maybe they get a handful of large grants from the government or a handful of large grants or small grants from foundations. And that might be the only place where they get money. It's not particularly sustainable or wise, but that is where a lot of nonprofits are. But most other organizations, in order to actually reach your mission or to have impact, you're going to need to build a list somehow. And so we're going to talk about social media, mail, but mostly email today. So really quickly, mailing lists, one of the challenges with mailing lists, because they have plenty of challenges, is the complexity, really. So having to get a bulk mail permit, having to get a nonprofit bulk rate mail permit, staying on top of the rules, staying on top of consistency across all of your mail, the price, the making sure that the stamps, and it's just a really, really complicated process to have a mail program in order to reach all of your people, your supporters, your activists. But also people move a lot. People hang on to their email address for way longer than they hold on to their actual address. So people moving a lot leads to a lot of attrition, and that's a lot of wasted money when you're talking about mail. Mail has its role, but these are some of the challenges to mail. It's also particularly slow. I have this funny image on the right of the Pony Express because that's what I think about when I think about mail. Again, it can be a great tool when you want to have complete control over your message and have more materials to put in front of people, but it is not the fastest medium by any stretch. And also social media, it's another way to build your constituency and build up a list of your supporters, but social media is notoriously noisy. There is a lot going on. People can literally be scrolling through their Facebook feed, see a cat video, see a petition, then see an advertisement for some cute shorts they want to buy. It is just a noisy, noisy environment. So how do you capture people's attention there, right, in order to get them to engage with your nonprofit? It's challenging. Also, it's notoriously hard to convert. Some people have cracked the code, and there are ways to do that, but it's really difficult to get online people in these environments to actually go into and participate in your organization. It's a lot easier through email. So email is power, and we talk about, I have an image there of like having a lot of power, but Email is powerful because the list is yours. On Facebook or Instagram, those followers go away if you leave the platform. But if you can move your email list from platform to platform to platform, so that list is yours. You've spent money and time and energy growing it. It's yours and it's portable. Also, you have a lot more control over the content and the flavor of what you're trying to put out with email versus other mediums. Direct mail, again, you have some, but it's really expensive. Also, there's more tools for tracking, right? So with data and insights, you can see who's opening your emails. You can see who's forwarding your emails usually. You can see who's clicking on what. You can even embed other technology or tools inside your emails because some folks will be able to use maybe Google Analytics or some other pixel tracker from Facebook or other tools to be able to track and see how your users are engaging with your content. So email is really powerful that way. A lot of insights can be drawn from your email. Also the speed. Within minutes of pushing an email out, you can see results in terms of money, volunteers, engagement, people signing a petition, whatever. But also that quick conversion tells you a lot about whether or not in real time the campaigns or issues that you're working on are really taking, getting engagement from people. So that's another reason why I think email can be really powerful. So the way nonprofits think, I've been around nonprofits for a long time, and this is how I think most nonprofits think about their email list building strategy. There is no strategy. Most nonprofits have little to no strategy. They don't sit around at some point of the year when they're doing planning and say, how are we going to take our email list from 1,000 to 5,000? Are we going to use this tactic on this date with this vendor? Most people are not doing that. They're simply resorting to a handful of things that we'll talk about down below, like the donation signups. People just wait for emails to come in when people donate, and that's not particularly effective, and it's not particularly efficient. Also, the newsletter sign up, I'm just jumping to the bottom here. The newsletter sign up, notoriously, people just use that to sign up, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But really, organizations back at the top, they think that because of their mission, they think of because the work they do is so good that they're going to have success. Look, you've come to our website somehow. Look at the happy, smiling, well-adjusted people on our website. Don't we do great work? Don't we do amazing things? Of course you want to give us your email address. It doesn't really work like that. And I've learned through marketing that the act of surrendering your email address to some organization or business or whoever is actually a loss. There's a feeling of loss. I'm surrendering this portion of my email inbox real estate to you. And we think that people just do it out of the goodness of their heart, but we can nudge them along, and we're going to talk about those tactics today. So assuming that people want our newsletter or want to give us their email address for nothing in return might be an outdated way of thinking about this. Email list building tends to be an afterthought for a lot of nonprofits. Also, a lot of groups are still doing paper signups at events. This is actually not a bad idea, but it can't be the only thing you're doing. And that's usually just a list where it says, a piece of paper where it says, give us your email. That's not particularly compelling. I'm not getting anything in return. Why would I give up my email address to get bombarded with emails if I'm not getting something in return? This is where I think we can learn from marketing. So donation signups and newsletter, which I was talking about a minute ago. I think this is really important because we tend to put these signups on our websites thinking and just assuming that people want a newsletter. And I don't know how many people you know in your life read every newsletter they get or even read most of the newsletters that they get. We tend to send newsletters to people who didn't even ask for it because they gave us a gift or we bumped into them somewhere and they gave us their business card. Our newsletters don't necessarily get read at a high volume at all. So we need to stop thinking like this and just crossing our fingers and assuming that our current strategy is working, because it probably isn't. So now we're going to dive into the 8 tips that you came here for today. So tip number 1, have a campaign. This is good for analog or digital, so offline or online. Having a campaign is really important because if you're just getting people to sign up because they care, that's one tactic. But if you want to skyrocket the number of people who sign up to be a part of your organization, wrap it in a campaign. It costs nothing. So have a goal. We're going to try to change this law, or we're going to try to change this safety standard on this playground, or we're going to try to get this thing to happen, or to create a cancer awareness day in the city of Detroit. Whatever it is, Having a goal, a campaign where you can focus your energy on getting people to sign up for a very particular thing by a very particular date. Simply by having a campaign or multiple campaigns, you can then gauge not just the added interest from people, but which campaigns people care about. So if someone signs up for your campaign to pass one law or to pressure an elected official to do the right thing, or whatever the campaign is, you can see where your list is really engaged, and it gives you data, real-time insights as to what's really going to help your organization grow. You can also have a campaign that's aspirational or awesome, and these are two different things. Aspirational is something that is big and bold and something about how we want the world to be 20, 30 years from now. Or it can just be something that's really, really cool. Some idea you've had that you believe is just so awesome or so catchy or so sticky, they say in marketing, that you just know people are going to forward it and they're going to want to sign up because it's such an awesome idea. These are two ideas around how to have a campaign. Also, it should be linked to your mission or your programs. If you start asking people to sign up for stuff that has nothing to do with your mission, they're not going to stick around. So maybe you do something cool about a local festival that has nothing to do with your mission, and people sign up to get information about this thing you're doing at this festival, but it has nothing to do with the actual work of the organization. Growing an email list that has nothing to do with what you do is risky and it's time consuming, and I wouldn't advise it. So this is the most important part of the entire training, is landing pages. So the rest of the presentation is going to focus a lot more on how to use landing pages, but probably the most important thing I've learned in marketing is that the nonprofit community can learn a lot from marketers. So I'm going to explain the marketing funnel for a quick second for folks who don't understand it. There are just people out in the world whose attention we're trying to get. The funnel metaphor is essentially, how do you get strangers closer to the organization into the funnel, narrowed into people who are actually engaged with you, giving, buying, donating, becoming an activist. That funnel, taking strangers down a path of becoming close to you, is what landing pages help do. So if we think like marketers about trying to get strangers to become customers and use nonprofits to say, what if we think about the marketing funnel the same way, trying to get strangers to come into the organization to become donors or volunteers? It still works, and I think it's an underutilized thinking, system of thinking. So landing pages are powerful and they're adaptable. I'm going to explain what they are. A landing page is not your homepage. It is not necessarily your homepage. A landing page is not even the page that people land on. This is a common misconception. I also used to not be clear about what a landing page was up until 3 or 4 years ago. But people use those terms interchangeably. A landing page in the terms of marketing is a page that you send people to deliberately that you want them to land on. If people are just mixing around your website and they end up on your donation page, that's not your landing page because they landed there. If they just arrive because they were forwarded there somewhere, that's not really a landing page the way we're talking about it. A landing page is a dedicated page that you want people to go to that is laser focused on accomplishing one thing and one thing only. And that could be buying something, donating, or surrendering their email address. But there's only one thing that you're asking them to do on that page. So these pages tend to be elegant and simple, and we're going to show you an example later. This image on the right is like a beautiful example of like a neat, crisp sort of design of an image of a desk, right? Imagine a landing page where it's very simple to navigate. All the clutter, all the other words and images that are on the page that don't have to do with converting people, getting them to take this action, need to be stripped away. So strategic elements on a landing page. We're going to talk about lead magnets in a second. It's another marketing term that we can apply to nonprofits, but they need to have, I think they really should have a lead magnet ideally. We'll talk about that in a minute. They should have generally less text. There should be a lot less text on them than a lot of websites. You shouldn't have all of the navigation on them, like at the top where it says about us, join our team, events, all that stuff is stripped away. So it's basically just getting people to convert. Social proof. Social proof is basically a way of telling the person who's arrived at the landing page that they want to be a part of this thing. They want to surrender their email or make a donation because other people are doing it too. Social proof could be icons of different newspapers that you've been covered, which shows, it demonstrates that your work is actually awesome. Or it could be data or statistics. But usually it's testimonials, people's images with a quote about how great the organization or the thing they're going to download is. That's social proof. Also, it should be visually appealing. It should be stunning to look at, and that is easier than you think. And finally, a strategic element of a landing page is the form. It's the actual box where you type in your email and your name, and then you just hit submit, and you get the thing that you want to get, or you get signed up for the thing you want to sign up for, but that form is essential. So our first poll question, have you ever used a landing page designed solely for gathering emails? And I think that Sonia is going to activate the poll. Excellent. Wow, a lot of people have not. That's what I figured. So almost 2/3 of people have not used a landing page solely for gathering emails. I'd be interested during the Q&A time to hear from people who have had a really successful experience in nonprofits using landing pages to convert people. So it means you're probably more sophisticated than most nonprofits if you're doing that. So now we're going to talk about the lead magnet, which I hinted to a minute ago. This is, again, a marketing term. We shouldn't be shy of marketing language in nonprofits. A lead is someone that we're trying to get down that funnel, right? From a stranger to someone who's going to become a customer. In the nonprofit space, a lead is a stranger who we want to become a volunteer or a donor or some activist, right? So the magnet part is something that attracts them. What is going to bring them in with magnetic force, right? So a lead magnet tends to be something that when someone goes to that landing page, they are going to give up their email address for something awesome, right? They want something free. It's usually digital, something they can download right there. There's a bunch of ways to do this, but the number one thing you want to give away if you're going to give away something is something that's going to help someone solve a problem, right? So in business, it's usually, hey, here's this thing that can help you lose weight, or here's this thing that can help you get your calendar on track. But in nonprofits, it might be, hey, are you struggling with your children's literacy? Here's 4 tips to do blah, blah, blah. Or on any issue you're working on, there's probably something you can turn into a digital download or a video or something where you can give away right there on your site. There's hundreds of ideas no matter what issue you're working on. But you want to solve a pain point, a struggle, something that the people who are arriving at your landing page, the reason why they came to your landing page is that you promised that there was something you're going to give them that's going to help them solve a very specific problem. And that is why they go, and that's why they download it, and that's why they give you their email address. So you want to promise and deliver on what you promise to them. So it has to be benefit oriented. Don't just think about, hey, we have all this stuff. Think about, this is how it's going to benefit you. Your life will be different. Your day will be better. Your outcomes will be cheerier, or your diet, your pet, whatever the thing is, about the benefits to them. You're solving a pain point and it is a benefit to them. So also, it should be narrow and specific. Don't give someone something that promises to solve 20 of their problems or all of their problems. Pick one small, narrow problem and solve it. That's why it's easier to create these things, because you're solving a very, very narrow problem. It should be immediate. If they sign up, they should get it instantly. They submit the form and bam, they're on the page where they can download it, or they get an email instantly that gives them the thing that they wanted. Then they see you as useful. They see you as awesome. They see you as someone who's providing real value to them. And immediately they have warm feelings about your nonprofit because they've surrendered their email for something great. Now you're in a relationship. You're moving down the funnel towards something that you have an actual relationship with. And you can do these throughout the year, of course, but for strangers, the first way to get them in sometimes is to provide value for something for free. And when we say useful or awesome, the thing could be something that is immediately useful to them in their lives, or it could just be something really, really cool. So for example, this isn't partisan, but in the United States, I know some of you are in Canada, there's a woman running for president here named Elizabeth Warren, who a couple years ago when she was in the Senate, something happened while she was on the congressional floor, and they tried gaveling her down so she couldn't talk. And so this meme started to emerge because she was resisting this being gavelled down, and she was resisting being told to be quiet. And so this meme started about, like, she persisted. That was the thing. She persisted through the bullying from the head of the chamber. And so if your nonprofit was focused on women's leadership or on anything, you could create a sticker or something or a meme that says she persisted, right? So sometimes a nonprofit can use a media moment, something happening in the press that relates to your mission, and use that as a great image or infographic or picture. And then people get a copy of that you've designed, and then they all give their email because they want to take advantage of that moment, right? So that's one example of a lead magnet. So here are a bunch of examples for you. I could go on and on, but here's just a great example of a bunch of different things that you could use as a lead magnet when you're a nonprofit. You could create a short 2-minute video that gives the story behind your logo. Like someone might be really interested in that, right? Or a printable or a cheat sheet, infographic, a script, like how to do this, how to talk to your child about this. Here's a sample script, a resource list. Here are the 9 tools we use as a nonprofit to battle illiteracy in our community. A skill share. Your staff probably have tons of skills, from fundraising to public speaking. You can create little shared videos that you give away for free in exchange for their email. Templates, slides, self-created memes, steps to do something, like the 6 steps in order to produce a gala. These are all things that you can do as a lead magnet to use with your landing page. So the lead magnet and the landing page work hand in hand to give away something of value, and nonprofits should absolutely be using lead magnets to round up and gather emails much faster. So here's an example of one of my landing pages. So I give away a board orientation checklist. I know that one of the biggest problems in nonprofits is that board members don't get a great orientation. They complain about it all the time. I was never onboarded correctly. So here are the different elements of my, I work with a marketing guy who helped me learn how to do this. So you can see on the top left, it says sample landing page and lead magnet. On the left, it says it's visually appealing. It's an easy to understand. There's a boardroom there. I'm talking about a board. There's a nice designed image there of the board orientation checklist. Below that, it says personal. There's me. This is like the social proof, right? I'm happy, smiling, explaining who I am and why you should care. Below that to the right is the other social proof, like where my work has appeared, right? So I'm not just some person claiming to be an expert. I actually have been covered, and I am an expert in my field. If you go above that to the word form, that's the form that people fill out. Super, super simple. You don't want 10 boxes for people to fill out. You want to create less friction. Just first name, last name, and email, or just first name and email. Later on, you can get more information from them. Above that, solving a problem. Download this proven comprehensive checklist to ensure you're providing new board members with the necessary information so they can be successful. And then above that, branding. So I have my logo there. So this is just an example of a landing page with a lead magnet. And again, you can design these basically with your existing websites probably, but there's other platforms you can get like lead pages and ClickFunnels that you can pay a monthly fee to be able to create an unlimited number of these. You can also, if you have MailChimp, you can use them to create lots of free ones. Wild Apricot may have a solution also, but these things can be created all over the web. So joint ventures. Joint ventures are ways that you can partner with someone else that has a list. So if you are a nonprofit and you want to grow your email list, buddy up with other entities that have big email lists so you can get in front of them with your landing page. So you might buddy up with other organizations in your coalitions. Elected leaders have huge email lists. Doing a joint email blast together, or doing something with an elected leader around a news conference or something, and all the promotional materials include a landing page with a lead magnet. Other organizations, not just ones in your coalition, but other organizations that are doing similar work, maybe in other states. Businesses, there's got to be businesses that are working with your nonprofit or who you're courting to work with. They may have a great list and they're in the same neighborhood as you are possibly. Also consultants, if you're working with any vendors or consultants, they probably have lists. So there's ways you can support each other and you get in front of each other's audiences and you start to grow your email list. Again, you don't want to just grab emails from anywhere. You want people who are interested in your mission. That's why your landing page needs to be focused on your mission or your campaign. Finally, festivals. There's like any kind of festival going on in town. They tend to have big lists for promotion. So get involved with that festival in some way and see if there's a way you can scratch each other's backs. Friendly forums is the next tip. A friendly forum is the term I use for places where your people, like your evangelists, your best leaders, are already hanging out, where the people that they are hanging out with are already warm to your organization, or they're warm to your members. So your staff, board, and volunteers are on social media. They're probably in different Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups or other places where they're talking with people regularly. They're probably on forums, on Reddit or other places, or like Quora. And community projects. There might be people in your organization that are involved in local meetups or other groups that have a listserv or something. Bulletin boards, places where people in your organization are chatting and talking regularly or troubleshooting issues. Chat rooms, groups, online event discussions. All of these are places, and this is one of the things you can do as an organization, is to do a power mapping session where you sit down with your full board and staff and say, where are we all engaged online? Where are we all participating in our different, like you can be part of a cooking club and you could be part of this other thing here online. Is there a way to cultivate those friendly forums to drop in our landing page and get people interested in the work of our organization? So now we're going to talk about status links. This is commonly overlooked, and I've only been learning about this more in the past year or two. So it's very common for people to have memberships or accounts with Instagram, Skype, Facebook, Twitter. All of these are places where they usually allow you to have a bio or a status. Like with Skype, you can list your status. You can actually list your status as your landing page where people can click on it. In Instagram, in Twitter, there's like a bio or an about section. Same as LinkedIn in your like section on LinkedIn. So anyone on your board, anyone on your staff can use those sections to drop in their landing page. It's a missed opportunity that we're not doing this. You can also include it in your electronic signatures, and you can also put an away message. You don't need to actually be away to use an autoresponder. So many organizations will have an away message for anyone who's new, right? So anytime a new unrecognized email comes in, you have an autoresponder that goes out that says, hey, sorry I missed you. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. In the meantime, please check out our free download as an organization. And that way this person immediately goes into your email list. So in your confirmation emails and pages, whenever anyone takes action on anything, and whether it's a donation or signing a petition or participating in something, they then get forwarded to a thank you page. That's the same page where you should have your landing page or opportunities to share it, right? Like share this elsewhere. So having those as a shareable option is really critical. Finally, blog posts. If you're writing content anywhere, op-eds, blog posts, people call these content upgrades. So when you're in the middle of a blog post, if someone's actually reading the blog post, it means they're interested in the topic. So right in the middle of the blog post, maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs down, drop in a link to your landing page, because people all over the web might be reading this, but they won't be in your email list yet. So drop in a link that says, hey, do you want to read more about this? Sign up for our free cheat sheet on whatever. So now it's time for another poll question. How many of you have a personal LinkedIn account? Let's see here. Almost everyone has a LinkedIn account. Now, we didn't say how active are you on LinkedIn, but almost everyone here is on LinkedIn, and that is really, really powerful. Now, some of you saw in the marketing for today's webinar that we were going to talk about LinkedIn. We've decided to not talk about LinkedIn a lot today because I just realized the other day that in the past couple months, they've changed their policy. Up until recently, LinkedIn allowed you to export your entire first contact list. So I have maybe over 1,000 contacts, maybe 1,500 on LinkedIn. I used to be able to export that full list in a CSV file, basically Excel, with every email address of every single person in my first contact list. It was amazing. I was using it a lot. But in the past couple months, they've changed their privacy policy that everyone that you're connected with on LinkedIn now has to opt in to letting that email address be shared. So just this week, I tried exporting the list again and only had 7 or 8 emails from the 1,500 or so people. So I just want to explain why we're not covering that today, because we learned that LinkedIn just changed this policy. Now, you might be different. Your first network may have all opted in. So you can go to LinkedIn, and if you have any information, questions about how to do this, find me later. If you sign up at the end of this webinar for my tool, 44 ways to skyrocket your email list, it will include in it the explicit directions on how to get your list exported out of LinkedIn. So we're using a different tip here today. Tip 7, viral giveaways. So some folks have seen these. They're contests that people do online. They cost nothing, and you give away something really, really awesome. My marketing guy has taught me this. Like, the way to make your viral giveaway sort of go crazy is by giving away something that is really, really terrific. So in viral giveaways, you can use a platform like KingSumo, which is free. I don't know what Gleam costs. It might also be free, but there are services like this where you can run a competition, even for nonprofits. And you can bundle multiple things: 2 tickets to your gala, dinner with the board chair, and 7 7 handouts of something you guys have that's really, really awesome. Or you can bundle with other nonprofits and put together 5 or 6 great things and jointly do a giveaway, a viral giveaway. And every single time someone clicks or shares or votes, and they can vote every single day, like, I'm going to go to Facebook and do this, and I'm going to watch your YouTube video and I get 5 more points, and then I go to Twitter, and so every single thing you do in these giveaways gets people more and more chances to win. And that's really, really powerful. It's a little bit like gambling. People feel really excited about it. Again, your giveaway should have something to do with your mission, but even if it doesn't, sometimes you can test it out and see what's really valuable to people. I've run these and gotten hundreds of emails through these campaigns. Also, giving away multiple prizes. So don't just give away one winner. Like, if people know that there's going to be 3 to 5 winners of something, and sometimes it could be something that's very easy to give away, like a free course that we offer online for how to do X, Y, and Z. You can give unlimited numbers of those away. So giving away multiple prizes, 3 to 5 winners, that's going to get more people participating. Here's an example of one of my viral giveaway pages. I gave away my ebook, which is, I have a fundraising book that I gave away. I wasn't bundling a lot of different stuff. It was just the book. I wanted to test out whether the book giveaway was strong or not. But this is what KingSumo looks like when you when the campaign ends. So the final tip for today, I know we're getting close to time. The tip 8, forms galore. Now, we talked about the landing page having a form on it, right? But you're going to want forms everywhere. Your website should be a form machine. Every single page on your website should probably have some kind of form. It might be just for your newsletter. It might be, like, I use Squarespace for my business website, and many nonprofits use Squarespace. There's a feature for free, I think, that is called the announcement bar, which is a thing that drops down at the very top, just a little announcement bar that drops by. Or you can have a sidebar that pops up from the side, or a pop-up, like a display thing that pops up in the middle of the page, sometimes called a welcome mat. Or you can just have a basic newsletter sign up, which I think is less effective, but you can certainly have those on some pages. And then CTAs, these are calls to action. So a call to action is like, join my campaign, sign up for this, learn more about this, schedule a free consultation. A call to action is something that you ask them to do that they surrender their email in order to get. And so these are very important to increase the number of people surrendering their email, not just the newsletter signups. So those are the 8 tips. We are going to do one last poll question. Have you ever run a Facebook ad, not a boosted post, but a Facebook ad, to get people to sign up for your organization? See what people's responses are. I suspected this. The yes rate is actually kind of high. Most nonprofits have not really invested the time or energy to learn how to run Facebook ads. Occasionally they might boost a post, but they're not actually setting up an ad account and then running ads on their own. So I think with Facebook ads, It's really important. I mean, there's not enough time today to cover these, but Facebook ads are very, very inexpensive. And you can use Facebook ads to send lots of traffic to a landing page. Don't send them to your website, send them to your landing page. The ad should look similar to the landing page. Just a quick primer on this. If you're going to create a Facebook ad, make it very engaging, very attractive. It doesn't need to be highly polished. It can actually be just a clip of you holding something from your nonprofit, or just a quick, simple image. We know this from testing that it doesn't have to be a slick video or a very super slick, highly polished picture, but you can absolutely just run ads that look very similar to your organization's brand right to a landing page that looks like your organization's brand. And then people will feel like, okay, this is actually, the ad looks like the landing page, I think this is legitimate, and then they surrender their email address. Facebook ads can get a lot of traffic from the funnel, people that are strangers, into your organizational funnel to become supporters. So just a couple different things that my consulting practice does, everything from executive director coaching, board coaching, fundraising facilitation. We do lots of things at Mind the Gap Consulting. Nonprofitfixer.com is the website. And that's really all for my presentation. I think I'm going to hand it back to Sonia.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sean. So now we're just going to take a couple of questions. The first question I have here is, how much should a small nonprofit budget for Facebook ads for a year?
Again, if you're not doing boosting and you're actually going to do Facebook ads, I think it's worth tinkering it. If you have the appetite to tinker and experiment and see what works, I do believe putting even like $15 to $20 a month into an ad campaign could bear fruit. Again, if you've got bad copy or a bad ad, it might not bear immediate fruit, but there are times that running Facebook ads might be important because there's an important moment, right? So maybe something's happening in the media, or something's happening around Giving Tuesday, or something's happening around an election, and you want to get people's attention on something really quickly. Facebook ads can be really powerful for that. So maybe you spend more in 2 months of the year than you do in other months. But I think $15 to $20 a month could be a great beginner strategy. But just imagine that you have an ad budget of $500 to $1,000 a year. That's really, really healthy for a small nonprofit. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like, how am I going to get that paid for? But there are donors out there who will help you invest in expanding your reach. Just show them that you've got a smart strategy. Hey, Mr. Donor, Mrs. Donor, I want $1,000 to experiment with whether or not we can grow our email list and our capacity to reach our mission through Facebook ads. We think it's going to work. Please help us with that. Can you give us $1,000 grant this year to run these ads and experiment with it? That way you can get some metrics. I think that's a good goal.
Awesome. And the next question is, how do I email everyone that I get from an exported list?
So if you export a list from Gmail, which I've done before, where I export a bunch of my own personal contacts from Gmail or from LinkedIn, you can use a cold email strategy. So there is a way to email a bunch of people, and I would not advise just going into your Outlook or your Gmail and starting emailing people in a big batch of BCCs, right? I would not do that. You can get in trouble, you can get spammed, you can get marked as a spammer. But there's software you can use that's very inexpensive. If you come across a big list, maybe an elected official or another organization gives you a big list of emails, or you try to purchase them, I would go over to this software called Mailshake. And I've used Mailshake before. It works hand in hand with Gmail and Google to basically send out 20, 30, 50 emails every couple hours, and it sends them throughout the day so that it doesn't look like you're trying to push too many people through the door. So Mailshake, it can spot whether the email you're sending out is spammy, and it can send them in such a cadence so that it doesn't actually get caught by spam filters. So I've used it before. It's a very successful platform. So Mailshake is the one that I'd recommend people check out for a cold email strategy.
Great. Thank you, Sean. The next question is, do you find Facebook ads work better than LinkedIn ads?
Yes, I have not had success with LinkedIn ads. I think that the platform is still trying to figure out what to do with its advertising, because I don't think they have the same return on investment. It was costing a lot of people that I know when they run ads on LinkedIn, it is costing way higher to convert someone and to get their email address. Facebook has this down to a science with their algorithm and lookalike audiences. They are able to, in a very sophisticated way, bring down the cost and get more conversions. So I think if you need to focus on one platform for your ads, I wouldn't do Twitter, I wouldn't do LinkedIn, I would focus on Facebook.
Perfect. And can we do landing pages on our own site? If so, how?
Yeah, so you can hire, of course, ClickFunnels, which is what I use, or Lead Pages as a place to do these. If you have your own website, you can do this also. So Squarespace, I think, I know that certain platforms allow you to build landing pages. I think if you use Squarespace or Wix or any one of those self-building platforms, all you need to do is when you're building a page, just say add a new page. So you just create a new page, or you duplicate an existing page and just strip away all of the stuff at the top, strip away all of the other stuff at the bottom that a normal website would have, a website page would have, and just put the very basics, right? Like the elements that I showed you in that earlier slide. So you can just do this in your own platform. And then the URL at the top, you can shorten it with bit.ly. So when I was saying to add the landing page into your Instagram profile or your Skype status, you just use the bit.ly. You don't use that long one. You can, but you can just embed that everywhere. But you definitely could just create any page on your own website and steer everyone there, because it has a clear form, clear call to action, social proof, great images, and that becomes the place where you do that. Every website, you should be able to do this on whatever platform you already host your website on.
Okay, great. And one more question here is, what are ideas for lead magnets for a nonprofit?
Yeah, so we gave some ideas earlier, which I think still work for nonprofits. Let me see if I can go back to that page just to show people again. Um, this list of lead magnets are really terrific. So again, reach out to me individually if you have questions about any of these, but a roundup is like rounding up like maybe your predictions for 2020. Here's a roundup of the 10 things we think that are going to be big next year in our issue area, or 9 tips for whatever. So any of these things could be lead magnet ideas. I think nonprofits have a treasure trove of knowledge and insight and skills inside their staff and board that they could easily convert to a free download or a template or a script or an infographic. One group that works on nutrition could create like here's the 7 vegetables or the 7 fruits you definitely want to keep in your home, and here's the 7 processed foods you don't, right? Free download. You know, these are all different ideas of what you could do.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sean, for sharing all your experience with us today. Really appreciate having you on here. I'm just gonna switch back to our slides now. Um,
Can we drop in the landing page for folks?
links.
40, yeah, the
Yep.
44. Yep.
Yep, the links are all available for everyone in the chat. So you can all take a look at to visit Sean's programs and the landing page links, which Stephen is putting in the chat just now. But just want to say again, thank you so much, Sean, for sharing your experience and advice with us today. We all learned now how easy and important it is to keep up with our email list and learning how to leverage it to grow our organization. So thank you. And now, as I mentioned, we are going to share the recording with you all in a follow-up email within the next day or two. So look out for that. And now that we're coming to the end of the webinar, I want to just quickly remind you that if you're new to Wild Apricot or have questions for us, I'll cover some free resources and offers in just a moment. So if you're new to Wild Apricot, I want to let you know that you can find more educational content on our Academy page. And Stephen is going to paste the link in the chat. This is where you can find more webinars, including recordings of all of our past webinars there. I also recommend you take a look at resources and content on our blogs and articles, because there's lots of helpful content there about growing your membership, running successful events, recruiting volunteers, and so on. And all of that content is free. And lastly, if you're running a membership organization, whether that's a nonprofit, association, or club, or any type of organization, you are welcome to try our software at no cost for 30 days. So feel free to take advantage of this opportunity, especially if you're looking for ways to automate a lot of the tasks that consume your life. So Stephen's going to paste the link in the chat window for that as well. And if you just click on the link you see there, you'll be taken to our website where you can enter your email, name, and organization name, and you're ready to go with your free trial. Also, if you'd like to receive a call from one of our coaches, just email coaches@wildapricot.com and one of our coaches will get in touch with you to schedule a call. Stephen's pasting the email in the chat now as we speak. So again, if you have any questions about wild apricot and you're able to stick around for a few minutes, I'm going to pass the mic over to Stephen, who can answer any questions you have, because we always get a lot of questions about our software whenever we do a webinar. So if you have any questions about wild apricot, please type them in the chat window now, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Stephen. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sonia. This is Stephen hopping on now for the live Q&A section of today's webinar. I hope you found everything helpful. These are always really super useful, and there's a lot of great content, and we do them for free every month, so feel free to tune into next month's as well. And for now, we'll just take a few questions about the software. So a couple that have come in here during the presentation. Is there a function in Wild Apricot like Yahoo Group's listserv email address? I would say not quite. We don't necessarily have a listserv function, but what we do have is a discussion forum gadget that you can add to your web pages. And that could be, for instance, a members only forum page that people can go to and communicate with one another. And they can also subscribe to the forum to receive email notifications when a new post is created. So that's a really good way for them to maintain contact with one another. And by making it members only, it can be a perk that you can advertise to them as an additional benefit of their membership. So another question here is, anything special to know about building a landing page on Wild Apricot? Well, so first off, I can confirm, yes, you can build a landing page in Wild Apricot. What I'd recommend is to use what we call the plain layout template when you're doing so. The plain layout template is just a very simple blank template that doesn't have any extra gadgets like a menu or anything like that. And what you can do is start there. So basically a blank page, and you can add individual gadgets to it. So content block with a welcome message, anything you need, a subscription form gadget if you'd like to just capture non-member email addresses, or perhaps a membership application gadget if you wanted to take membership signups right then and there. And you can customize the URL, so it could be yourorganization.com/landing page or any other URL that's going to work. And as mentioned in the webinar, you can also use bit.ly to shorten that further. So yeah, if you have any questions about using the plain layout template or even how to get started with that, feel free to get in touch with us at coaches@wildapricot.com or at support@wildapricot.com, and we'd be happy to give you a bit more information about that. So, all right, just reading through a few more questions that are coming in here. Is there a form gadget to use on a landing page in Wild Apricot? So yeah, again, I think the two that you're probably going to be looking for there would be either the subscription form gadget, which is specifically designed to capture non-member email addresses, or the membership application form if you actually want to capture membership applications right then and there. Either one of those would probably work for you. So, all right, Wild Apricot membership, is it a plugin for WordPress? Does it integrate with e-commerce like Shopify? So Wild Apricot is actually its own all-in-one membership management platform. So it does everything from a website builder and website hosting to a membership module where you can take applications, process renewals, send automated renewal reminder emails, say 30 days before someone's renewal date. It has an integrated event management system where you can set up an event, send out invitations to your users and have them sign up and pay through the site. And it also helps you to track the finances as well. So open invoices, paid invoices, everything like that. So it is its own independent program, but it can be integrated with an existing website through the use of our embeddable widgets. So if you have your existing website right now, and you don't want to build a new one through Wild Apricot, you can copy and paste each of the widgets for things like the membership application form, member profiles, event calendars, things like that, and pretty seamlessly embed them into your existing WordPress site. So it does both options really. Do you have an app that can be part of your system? We have two mobile apps available at the moment. One is a Wild Apricot for Administrators app, which has some of the functions of the administrative desktop view. Like the desktop view is really the main appeal. It has all of the functionality, and the admin app has some of the functionality. And then the member app, meanwhile, has a few basic things, like it lets people check their member profiles, lets people sign up for events, and also provides an easy way for them to access their member card, which can display their name, their picture, their expiry date, so you can get in at the door and make sure that they're not an expired member. So it's useful in that regard. It's definitely more oriented as a sort of base of operations for you to run your membership-based organization. All right, can members see other members? Yes, we have a member directory gadget you can add to your pages, and again, you can make it a members only function if you want. Wild Apricot lets you have public pages, members only pages, or even administrator only pages if you're just you're working on something in the back end and you don't want people to be able to see it. So the member directory gadget lets you display all of your existing members, and you can choose which fields are displayed on there, and you can restrict them. And it's really great for things like business directories or just for neighborhood associations and things like that, so people can see who everyone else is in the organization. By clicking on someone's name in the directory, they can also see the rest of their information as long as they've chosen to make it public. And they can click the send message button as well to send an email out to those people. So that's, again, it's a great way to integrate some nice members only social features in and provide a little bit of extra benefit to your members who are, paying you a fair amount each month or year. And on the whole, Wild Apricot makes that process of collecting those membership payments on a monthly or annual basis much easier. You can automate the reminders. You can automate the generation of invoices to them, and they can then self-serve pay that online. And you can even have it set up so that members are automatically charged each month or year if you just want to run with that. Okay, so another question is, how many variables can each member have? Can you do any extra development on member profiles? So when you say variables, I'm going to assume you mean like custom fields and custom information, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You can create as many custom fields as you want. So we don't put a limit on that. You could have drop-down fields, multiple choice fields, text fields, and just capture anything. And you can also run individual searches based on any one of those fields within a member's profile. So let's say you've created a checkbox of, please state your interest, and you can just list, I'm interested in cars, I'm interested in nature, list a bunch of options there. The member could check that off as part of their application, and then you can run a search to see who's checked off what send targeted emails. That's actually a very useful feature of the system, especially if you're the type to send a lot of targeted newsletters to specific groups of people. So how would you compare yourself with Wishlist? I'm actually not familiar with the Wishlist software, but if you get in touch with us at sales@wildapricot.com or coaches@wildapricot.com, I'd be happy to hop on a call with you and discuss things one-on-one a bit further and see if we're a good fit. And again, if you want to open up a free trial just to test things out, that's very much recommended. It's a self-service software. We give you all the tools. You can build your membership levels. You can build your website and hopefully automate your membership and make your life a lot easier. If you would like to see a much more in-depth walkthrough of the Wild Apricot system, maybe you're a new trial user and you're just testing things out, or maybe you are a new administrator and you've been using Wild Apricot for a while already, we actually have a video series called our Wild Apricot Bootcamp, which does exactly that. So video 1, all about how to set up your memberships. Video 2, events. I think we got another video dedicated to the website setup, and then there's one more that's just general tips and tricks. That is one of the most useful video series that we have available, and again, that's our Wild Apricot Bootcamp. I'll just type the name of it here in the chat, Wild Apricot Bootcamp. If you email us at coaches@wildapricot.com, we'll make sure we get that to you. It's totally free, and it's well worth it, especially if you're looking for a bit of training in the system. So lastly here, the customer service hours. So when you jump into your free 30-day trial, you're going to have access to the membership coaches, of which I myself am one. And you can schedule a call with us, and we're happy to call you back at that time and just kind of talk through everything and make sure that we're a good fit. Our general hours are around 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, and that's Eastern time, but we do have some off hours availability as well if you're located in Australia or the West Coast and a few places like that. So feel free to get in touch. We'll be happy to send you a link to book a call, and you can pick whatever time works best for you. And when you are on a paid subscription plan, you'll have direct access to our technical support line. And again, they are pretty much 9 to 5, 9:30 to 5:30, Monday to Friday, and you'd be able to just dial into them directly if you have any questions. All right, so thank you so much for coming out again. I do hope you found all of the information in today's webinar helpful, and hey, don't be shy, feel free to get in touch. Basically, as soon as this is done, we'll just go check our email queue. And if any of you wanted that bootcamp video, we'll make sure that we send it off to you. Have a great day, everybody.